Hey everybody, Will, just time prepping. I'm going to talk to you from my chair today. All my other studio access points are pretty busy. The kitchen, I have a project going in there, and I thought I was going to get that video out yesterday, but I'm not going to. It's going to actually turn into a two-part video. So I had to kind of scramble around and find something new to talk to you guys about. So what we're going to talk about today is water storage and procurement. You know, as we grow in the prepping community, you start thinking more fine-tuning of everything, as you go. So I went from storing a wall, a wall of water bottles, to thinking things through a little more, and having kind of a better prospect of how to procure and manage your water situation. So today I kind of want to talk to you about that. During a disaster, you'll need to have an abundance of water. And you can't rely on your local grocery stores and your municipality for water during a disaster, because the water is going to be the first thing that come off the shelves and stuff in a SHTF situation. It'll probably come off the shelf within 48 to 72 hours, and that's going to be it for your water. So you need to start thinking a little more towards another way, So you need to take precautions and make sure that your family has a generous supply of water. And you need to create a plan detailing where to find other sources of water should you run out. Yeah, everyone's going to need 2 gallons of water per day in your family. That's what you need to plan for, because 1 gallon would be to hydrate your body, and another gallon would be for your personal hygiene of your body and whatnot, oral care. So once you've calculated the minimum amount between 10 and 15% more to account for waste, the damage, and you giving to other people, So where are you going to store all this water at? You can shop related products online. I kind of went online and checked it out, and you can get those polycarbonate containers. They're kind of soft plastic. You could get those, or you could get a aquatainer. Comes like a 5-gallon bucket or some sort there, So if you look at that kind of stuff, you'll find that you can get that kind of water. You could also get the aquatainers. They run about $14.97 or something like that, and then just a regular water container could cost you up to about $15. Or you could go with a 5-gallon stackable set, which would cost you about $76 for all of them, but they're stackable, so when they're full, yeah, you can stack them up to save storage. But you can also use what they call a incognito. It's a 300-gallon tank, but it's foldable. So when you're not using it, it folds up and takes up a lot less space. And they cost right around $78, I think it is. So that might be where you want to go to, So when it comes to storing your water, you can use a 3-tier system if you like. This allows you to maximize your water storage and ensures that you have room for all the water that your family's going to need. And you want to keep in mind that water roughly weighs about 8.5 pounds per gallon. So weight's going to be a big factor in your water collection. Especially if you live in a place that has subflooring and whatnot, a 1 or 2 level house. You want to make sure that you're not putting them in the upper stories because it weighs so much. So your tier 1 is comprised of water bottles, and it's other small portable water containers. You can put the water bottles in any location. You can make sure that they're not directly exposed to sunlight. And this includes things like closets, cabinets, and even under your bed. These water bottles are for quick access and should be rotated regularly and used, and also be used to refill your from other larger containers. So you should never store the water if it's in an unapproved plastic container, because if you use unapproved containers, they usually contaminate the water. And also the plastic will deteriorate over time and you'll lose it that way also. Or if they're exposed to light, you might want to think about that as well. So by law, consumable products have to be sold in retail stores, and they all have to have an expiration date on them. But as you get going through an SHTF situation, a disaster of some sort, you won't have that opportunity, so you'll need to learn that in advance, that you can look at the bottles and they will tell you whether they are condoned for human consumption or not, That way you can reuse the plastic. So the most cost-effective way to purchase water in bulk, you can of course purchase food-grade plastic water barrels, and then you can fill them at home using a water hose approved for drinking water, or a barrel, because the weight would essentially have to be filled in a fixed place. Because if you get a 50-gallon water barrel of water, it'll weigh somewhere around 400 pounds. So you want to make sure that's in a solid part of your house, and make sure that it's going to be pumped out of into smaller containers. We can go to tier 2, and that's the larger barrels. So tier 3 would be your large water containment systems that are meant to store water that's 1,000 gallons or more in one container, and the amount of water is going to be large and immobile, and that the water tank can be stored indoors or outdoors. And you want to also take into effect the freeze factor. If it's going to freeze all the way through, it's going to be more problems for you, because when they freeze, the plastic breaks down, and then it will start breaking. So you'll be losing water. So that's what it says, 1,000 gallons of water, but if possible, it can rupture if the storage container freezes solid. So your other water sources you would want to make sure that you have enough water for an extended period of time. But what if you need to find additional sources of water? Okay, so understanding to find additional water sources and how to filter and purify the water can dramatically increase your odds of survival. We all know that we have to have water to survive, so dramatically increases your survivability. So this skill is essential, especially if you have already evacuated and you cannot rely on water supply for your new safe house. Sources of water include public and private swimming pools, public lakes, ponds, and water features. So you want to think about filtering and treating your water if you're going to be using those sources. And when finding a new water source, it's imperative that you take the proper course of action by filtering and purifying the water source. Drinking contaminated or toxic water can cause you'd be seriously sick or even worse. Always proceed with extreme caution when drinking any type of unsanitary water, and seeking out additional water sources should always be your last resort. You need to make sure there is no chemical contamination evident. If you have any doubts about the chemicals in the water or the immediate area, do not use that water. Move on to a new location because you don't want to be drinking chemicals. And you can't really purify the chemicals anyway. So if you have a plan to use the commercial filtering device to extend the life of a filter like charcoal or sand or gravel, it can also be used to filter your water. I'm going to be doing a VR for Virginia H here shortly, and you're going to see how I do it using other ways besides the life straw, the filtered bottles and all that. There are other ways of filtering your water, and that's using charcoal, sand, and gravel. I'm going to be doing that in an exercise for Virginia H, just so that you guys know what you're doing when you're doing that kind of stuff. But as always, even though you're using those filters, a natural filter or one that you buy, you still want to make sure that you're boiling the water after you filter it, because boiling the water is a recommended method to purify the water. Between filtering and boiling, you'll have removed and destroyed virtually all the waterborne organisms or in microorganisms. Can't talk today. Rapid boil for 3 minutes if you're in below or above your water table. And rapid boil for 3 minutes, and if you have an ample supply of water, and if you have a very little supply and you know you're at a sea level, you could boil the water for 1 minute. Boiling will cause you to lose water volume, so you want to take that into consideration. When you boil the water, it evaporates. Some of it does. So do not boil longer than what it's recommended. That way you save the water that you're collecting. And then lastly, I want to talk about chemical treatment. And you can purchase chemical purification tablets, and that'll rid the water of bacteria, virus, and hygienic problems. And these chemical treatment packages are highly recommended because they have a long shelf life and the simplicity of their use. I have some in my get-home bag that I carry around in there all the time. They're made by Coleman. They're 2 little bottles. It's a 2-part fill system. You throw the first one in there. You shake the bottle up, you wait 30 minutes, and then you throw the second one in there, shake the water up, and then you wait a few more minutes, and then you pour the water into a pan, and you boil it for 3 minutes, and then it's able to be drank. So, you should have a supply of water purification tablets, no matter what, in your home emergency kit and bug out bag. And that's the lesson for today. Like I said, I have another project going. I thought I'd have it up for you guys yesterday, but that did not happen. It's going to turn into a 2-part project, I believe. And also, tomorrow's Wednesday, so Wednesday is our live chat Wednesday, and we're going to be doing talking, and I'm going to be taking down the names for the drawing. Then on Saturday, we'll have another one. Hopefully, Wednesday, Thursday, we have Community Supporter Thursday. So I will try to get the Community Supporter video done. And also, I'd like to release the first part of the leather project I'm doing. It's time-consuming to do the leather project I'm doing now because I'm actually doing it totally from scratch, and so it's gonna be a 2-part project. I just can't get around it. I've I've tried, and it just is not going to work. So another thing to do with the project was I had the blank cut out for the sheath, and as I was getting it prepared to do the lacing on it, I realized that the holes for the lacing were in totally wrong spots. So if you know anything about leather, you know it's unforgiving. I had to not throw it away, but I had to cut a new piece, and that's what I'll be working on later today. So that's part of the reason it's gonna be a two-part series, is I have to slow down, make sure I do the project the best way I can. One thing for sure, leather's unforgiving. So basically that's all I have for you guys for today, and I've run over my time again, darn it. But I just want you guys to know that I can't do this without you. And I love each and every one of you. Also, about the 1500 giveaway drawing. If you guys have not done the VR yet, you had better get going. I have 9 more subscribers to go before hitting 1500. Have some VRs already, but I haven't got VRs from a lot of you guys. So do a 5-minute VR and tell me why you need that knife and sheath, or tell me one other channel in your VR. Tell me one other small channel that you need to help support to grow its subscriber list so they can get started in our YouTube community. So it's basically what I have for you guys today. It's God bless you, and God bless me, and God bless the US of A. Okay, you guys, thanks for watching today.